Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Closing Playwrights panel. Thank you for your flexibility. Live theater. Wow, technical difficulties that are surprising and wonderful. We thank you again for joining us. In just a moment, we're going to be bringing up our playwrights as they migrate over to this space. Just as you found it, we're waiting for them to come and join us. In just a second, we will be starting. So thank you for joining us. We're going to wait just a minute longer so that people can join us in the space. Hello, everybody. My name is Maria Patrice Amen. Thank you so much for joining us in this closing playwrights panel for our 2020 San Diego Rep Latinx New Play Festival. We'd like to start today by acknowledging the place from which we come. I am calling you from National City, a subset of San Diego, and also the traditional lands of the Kumeyaay. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the California Arts Council, the San Diego Union Tribune, and Dylan Jacobs. Check out the landing page, the reception page for the program, the Meet the Artist packet, and the dramaturgy packet. In just a moment, we will bring on our artists. And if you would like to speak with them, to connect with them, if you've got any questions, please put it in the chat box. We're going to be paying attention to it throughout the reading and being able to bring your questions to our festival artists. Yes, okay, one more reminder, this is a live event, and as a live event, we might run into technical difficulties as we have had in the past, but we will forge along and forge forward. If we run into technical difficulties, we'll let you know, and we ask for your patience in advance. If you run into technical difficulties, please fill out, let us know in the chat at 619-940-6091. We want to let you know that all of the readings from across this weekend, all of the festival readings, excluding Spanking Machine, but all of the festival readings will be available on the San Diego Reps YouTube page. That email link will be emailed to you using the email that you registered for Hoppin' Through. Additionally, we will be emailing you a post-show survey. We'd love to give you a little time to sit with your thoughts on these plays, and then we'd love to hear your feedback. We will be emailing you a little link that you can follow to fill out a survey about each of the plays. We also will email you a list to subscribe to request the scripts. If any of these plays from this weekend are things that you want to resonate with further or things that you want to read again, let us know. All of our playwrights are making their plays available and accessible, so please follow that link on the email to get more information or to get access to the script. If you have any questions about the festival, please email me at patriceamon, PATRICEAMON @gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, I think those are all my pre-show announcements that I had to share with y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to now bring up Danielle Ward, the San Diego rep, literary manager, and new play development midwife. Danielle, if you'd like to turn on your camera, we can bring you on up. I hear you there. Ah, there you are, Denny.
Here I am.
Denny, was that your title? Did I get it?
You got it right. Thank you.
Excellent. I've been working on it, practicing it. Great to see you here at the festival, Denny. I am so grateful for you to have this conversation with our playwrights and lead us through getting to know their work a little bit further and their approach to their artistry. Okay, so I'm going to hand the stage over to you. I'm going to mute myself and take myself down, and it's all you from here on out. Thanks, Denny.
Thank you. As this is the last event of our festival, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out and dedicated volunteers that have made this festival possible over the last 8 months. There was a lot of work that went into it, all led, of course, by Dr. Maria Patrice Amon and her amazingness in all levels. She has so many hats that she wears. So thank you so much, Patrice, and everyone else who had a hand in making this festival possible. We sincerely appreciate it. I would love to, I'm excited to have this conversation overall with all of our playwrights of the festival, but first I just want to shake things up a bit and bring Jaymes Sanchez in first, since we didn't get to do any post-show conversation with him. So Jaymes, if you'd like to pop in first, I'd love to just check in with you for a minute or two so we can just talk about Kukui for a moment. Hey.
Hi.
I would love to know what inspired this play? What got you going on writing this particular piece?
Sure. So I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and starting with college, I lived in New England for about 10 years, and including living in Boston for about 5 years. And I experienced a lot of like doubt and insecurity about what I was doing with my life at the time, and just felt like it was hard for me to figure out the right thing to do if such a thing exists. So I was just kind of living with a whole lot of this like doubt and insecurity from living so far away from home. And then a submission opportunity from a theater in Boston came around where it was called the Boston Project, pitching plays that are set in Boston. And I thought it would be really cool to write something about my experience as someone not from Boston living in Boston. And I did not get it because my proposal was not good. But it kind of allowed me to sit with this idea of, you know, what it means to be a person from Texas living far away from home and everything that goes along with that. So that's really where it came from, is that the Kukui was kind of this embodiment of the general angst and uncertainty that I had about pretty much everything I was doing.
Did you grow up with the Kukui myth as sort of a threat?
Yes, definitely. And I feel like pretty much all the brown kids from where I'm from grew up with that. And it's less a story, less of a folklore thing, and more of just kind of like, I'm a parent at my wit's end, and I really need you to just shut up for a little bit. Did you take liberties in terms of the myth itself, or is that idea about the Kukui really trying to find bad kids, is that and eat them, is that like the crux of it for those who don't know the myth? Basically, yeah. The myth is just, you know, your parents tell you when you're misbehaving that the Kukui is going to come and get you and take you away or eat you or whatever. You know, I don't, or at least when I started writing this, I didn't know a ton about any real written down mythology or folklore behind it. I just kind of like grew up with this just cultural touchstone, and it just made a lot of sense to me to use it in this context, because I mean the kukui makes us ask the question, what does it mean to be a good child? And it's pretty simple when you're 7 years old, you know, just shut up every now and then so that your parents can have some peace and quiet. But when you're 30 years old and you live far away from home and you have a complicated relationship with the rest of your family, being a good child is a lot more complicated. And that's why I really gravitated towards it. Just what exactly is a good child?
Yeah, it's a universal guilt, right? That kids have in terms of being able to have been good enough or keep showing up for our parents and all of that. I think a lot of people probably resonated with that as well. I will know, because I had read the script, I know that Ray could have been cast as with a male actor, or could have been cast with a female actor. Patrice cast a female, obviously, but what was your thought process behind this idea about casting? And it is also the kukui, I can't remember, is the kukui also a sort of open casting in terms of gender?
The kukui, sort of. Ray, definitely yes. And the reason for that is really just that I value openness in casting, and having a role that's open to as many performers as possible. And like with this play, the general consensus among people that I trust is that like it's a really cool idea to keep the casting of Ray open, but that the play needed a little bit more work to get the play ready for a woman to play the role, and that's one of the things that I tried to do with this process. I think the reason why openness is important to me is I got a lot of my early experience in theater doing new plays and doing Shakespeare. And when you're doing Shakespeare, like especially as a young person, you're going to have a gender dynamic in which you need to embrace non-traditional casting. And I really have always been really interested in non-traditional casting. And in my plays, it's not necessarily that every role is wide open. I think in this play, Letty has to be a woman and Carlos has to be a man. But I do think that for certain roles, there's enough overlap between the experience of that character as one gender and the experience of that character as another gender that overlaps enough that if a certain performer sees themselves in that role and thinks that they can do it, really values what that role has to offer, then I believe that performer should be able to play that role. And I just hope that like in the process we can figure out that overlap, and that we can make it open enough but specific enough. So that's something that I'm always working on.
Awesome. We are not done talking to you, but I'm going to ask our other playwrights to pop in as well, say hello.
Please.
And I'm going to ask everybody as they're coming in to introduce themselves quickly. There's a full bio and credentials from everybody in our festival program that you can find on the reception page. I want to get the conversation rolling, so if you could just tell us a little about yourself, and in particular, something surprising that we won't find in your bio. I'm gonna ask Diana to start.
Hi, yes, I'm Diana Burbano. I'm in Long Beach on the land of the Tongva, the ancestral land of the Tongva. And something that you won't find in my bio, but which you may have sussed if you saw my play, is that I was a humongous Star Trek fan from the time I was like 10 years old.
Margaret, what about you?
Hi. Yes, I saw my opening there. What you wouldn't know about me, I don't know how to drive.
Okay. Francisco?
Hello, I'm speaking from Brooklyn, the traditional land of the Canarsie and the Nape. What you won't find in my bio is that I have seen the Kukui played by a man. No, well, the Kukui was played by a man at the Lark. So, you know, some experiences.
Makasha?
Hi, I'm Makasha. I'm also speaking from Brooklyn, the home of the Lenape and Canarsie nations. And something that you don't know about, I'm a very bad driver. If we're going on the driving thing, I can do it, but please don't make me.
And Jaymes, I'm going to bounce back to you for something that's surprising.
I'm sorry, my audio cut out there. Is someone talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Hi.
Yes, I just didn't want to leave you out with you saying what is surprising about you.
I appreciate that. So Jaymes Sanchez, he, him, his. I'm coming at you from Austin, Texas, which is the traditional lands of the Tonkawa, the Comanche, and the Coayultecan, I believe. Which I don't think was on one of the land acknowledgement sites that I went to. Anyway, surprising thing about me, I'm not sure if this is still in my bio. I was a high school English and theater teacher for 5 years. Shout out to Milton High School.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
We need good teachers. Yes, Marga?
I didn't realize this was the moment, but I do want to say San Francisco, the home of the Ohlone people.
Thank you. All right, I'm hoping that I can get some questions from the chat, but beforehand, I wanted to just throw some conversation out there, including hopefully a fun question, which is, of all the characters that you've seen from the plays in this festival, who would you want to hang out with and why?
Wookie, 100%.
I second that. Yeah.
Aw. I would hang out with Valentina, I think. I feel like I have a lot that we could hang out with. She's so beautifully warm and just a lovely person.
I would hang out with the Kukui. I've got some things to wrestle with, you know?
I feel like we all hang out with the Kukui.
Yeah.
I think Guadalupe would be a lot of fun.
I want her
in the same way, yeah, in the same way that I used to kind of just like nudge my grandmother in ways to get her going.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of people answering the question in the chat. Please feel free, others, if you want to answer that fun question for yourself as well. Awesome. I think I would definitely want to hang out with Letty and Lupe in the same room. I get them talking and just hang out. I would also like to know, during this festival, because of COVID, it's been online, which is an experiment for us, but how did this serve you? Maybe the question could also be just about the process itself, but also I'm asking about, because it's online and it's different than this year than other years and other festivals, how does the process and also the online process serve you this year?
Well, I think it was so intimate with the actors and this play and the director, and we were all so close, like literally facially close to each other as we were working, that it sort of, for my play, I think just listening, it made me listen to them really, really hard, and to see, because they were making these beautiful connections in these boxes, and that to me is always like, oh, I got to cut that and let the actors do it. You know, that was really a great use of this format.
I think
Thank you.
it's something that I've been experiencing watching theater online, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch all the plays, but I'm really happy that they're going to be on YouTube. But I have always been very attached to performing live, performing on stage. When I had my LA years and was going to auditions, I really I didn't do well because I wasn't comfortable with the camera. And now we have to be comfortable with the camera, and we have to be comfortable creating work for people to perform in front of the camera. I was very proud of the fact that I was part of an ancient tradition, storytelling, creating plays. And now, and I live in San Francisco that is overrun with technology and technology wealth. But now I understand that I have to take their tools to keep our form alive. So that is really what hit me at this festival.
Awesome. Thanks, Marga. Anyone
I
else?
think in some cases, well, definitely for me, it revealed, I didn't realize that my play could be such a good fit for Zoom. It's just like when we saw it, it was like, I felt like, yes, they're talking to Arnold. It makes sense. It's all the cameras. I felt something similar with Extreme Home Makeover. Like, it was just like, I was like, oh, this could be a Zoom play. You know what I mean? Which is funny. I mean, I didn't write it to be a Zoom play, but I thought it was so interesting to just echoing something that Diana said about the stage directions, how little I felt like I needed. Obviously, someone, you're not gonna ask the actors to, act a punch or whatever, even though Tony kind of did, but it did sort of reveal a new facet of the play that I just hadn't imagined was there. So that was very interesting for me.
Yeah, I thought your play was so compelling on Zoom. I couldn't. It just felt so right to be living with the computer voice and just see. It really felt like we were just watching everything like on a feedback. That was really cool.
Yeah, having Arnold speak, because there have been many iterations of it, but this time around, you never see a person. That's a rule of the play. There's never a person. It's a Siri thing, or it's some voice. But like having it be a voice in the computer made it sound like it was like a program. You know what I mean? Like it's a program. I thought it was great.
As a follow-up to that, has anybody started writing a play that's for like a Zoom or online platform, and or would you be open to doing one of your other plays, whether they were from this festival or another one, and sort of adapting it for that type of medium?
I have an idea for something that will take place over Zoom, but I guess I can't say it quite yet, right? But yeah, I think
we'll be excited now. You've like made us excited about it.
It's a Zoom rom. It's a Zoom rom. A rom Zoom. It's a Zoom rom-com. But what I do want to do is I have footage of Spanking Machine was my 13th solo play, and I have some really good films of my plays. And so what I want to do is kind of what I did with Spanking Machine, is to merge clips with live stream performance, and also some of those plays were like, I don't know, I was like super skinny and super young, and then it's like, whoa, it's me now. But I'm kind of planning how to do all that stuff.
Anybody else wanna chime in?
Yeah, I wrote something for Zoom specifically, actually for San Diego Rep, that is going to be. I'm really excited to see how that turns out, because it was a major challenge to write with that platform in mind. But I've just found there's something really interesting about seeing. I've missed theater so much that I love coming to these readings. I do have to confess, occasionally I turn off the camera and I just listen. I couldn't do that though with this because it was so compelling to watch everybody. But I hope that we can decouple ourselves from writing for Zoom after, like, you know, a while, not too long, knock wood.
Yes, your piece will actually be available. Your short will be available starting next week, Diana. So thank you.
Oh,
So building off what Diana was saying, I've been thinking a little bit about how the things that are happening right now in the pandemic age are going to carry over into whenever we get back to whatever normal looks like whenever it happens. And I don't really pretend to have any answers about that, but my gut reaction is that I want to get back to doing things live and in person, but I also wonder what we can learn from this moment that can be incorporated into the way that we used to do things, and we'll hopefully go back to doing things. And I don't really have a particularly useful answer to that question. It's just something that I've been thinking about.
I don't know if we can learn this, because that's not something that can be learned, but I thought it was very liberating to be able to cast whatever actor we wanted, regardless of whether they were in LA or in New York on the blow, because that tends to be such a point of discussion. You know, there's not enough Latino actors sometimes, and you're like, this person will be perfect, they just don't live here. So this time around, it was like, doesn't matter. And part of me wonders about what things can we start to do without, in terms of like having to be in the same room. Because there are things that like, I don't want to do without live theater. I want to be able to go. But there are other parts of it that I'm like, do we attach ourselves too much to physical presence in certain aspects of it? And so, yeah, that was interesting for me, that like, it was like, it didn't matter where the cast is, let's just, you know, do it.
But off of what Francisco just said, also our audiences can be outside of the region that the theater is in, which is like super exciting. And I know, I mean, of course, I was talking to my friend yesterday after the shows and lamenting that chemistry, that electricity being in a room with people. But, you know, we don't know I mean, first of all, we don't know what's going to happen in November. And I actually want to, you know, I mean, that's the elephant in the club. They are the elephants, right? We're the donkeys. Which one is the Republican, the elephant or the elephant, right? That's the elephant. And that's truly, literally, in every sense, an elephant. But there's going to be, I mean, I don't know that we'll ever be pandemic free, and there's always going to be a population that isn't going to be, can I say, comfortable going into a gathering in an enclosed space. I mean, at least, you know, for my girls. And so I think that we can, you know, we can just keep pushing what we can do online, as well as venturing back into real life as well. But we can't forget the people who are in, you know, endangered demographics. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We are getting quite a few questions from our lovely viewers about Zoom and the experience of writing towards Zoom or writing online. Some of which I'll ask a couple questions and you guys can answer the ones that resonate with you. But Danielle Jaquez asks, how were rehearsals for you and the work in terms of working online? Diana, you sort of addressed that initially, but if anybody else wants to chime in there. Also, what are the differences from a development process of writing for Zoom and having it produced? So specifically writing towards something that will be in that medium. And also for Diana, also Paul Padilla said, I was able to see the Zoom reading of Mad Cow Theater a few weeks ago. Were you able to watch and notice any of the major differences in the interpretation? So there's a couple different Zoom oriented. Oh, and there was one other that I remember seeing scroll through the chat, which was, does it offer you an opportunity to using Zoom as writers in terms of breakout rooms and interaction and things like that in a different way? Is there any elements there that is exciting you as well?
I can talk about rehearsal rooms a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it definitely in Zoom feels really kind of like a fast and furious rehearsal process. But I think what I crave to bring in from like real space shared in-person rehearsals is kind of, I feel like it was hard to get the like one-on-one time with actors and the kind of like I live in the like side conversations, the like you're talking while other people are doing other things too. So I think I in future iterations maybe crave finding a way to bring the ability to have multiple conversations at once in a rehearsal online is quite hard, but I feel that is kind of what is a little bit lost in translation. And I think the more we do this kind of work, the more we'll figure out how to do that. But this was definitely my first time trying to be like, how do I talk to you right now while also they're doing this scene?
Makasha, what if like we use the chat for like the side conversations?
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. We were using the chat and texting each other and WhatsApping each other. It's like I had 3 DMs. Yeah.
But as presentation, part of the presentation.
Yeah.
Talk about multitasking on a whole other level, right? Does that leave enough space in your brain for the creativity process?
You need a typing test for auditions as well. Yeah.
Right.
This was not part of the question, but I want to answer it anyway. I thought
Make up your own questions, Francisco.
Yeah, I'm making up my own question. How was it watching your own work at home? What I really appreciate this time around is usually when I have, because I had a few friends over and we watched it together. When that has happened, when a friend has come to a reading, we're all like silent in the dark, looking at and I'm dying inside every time something goes wrong, and it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like that experience, and it, so rigid. And this tomorrow was so good to just like be able to talk throughout, like if we were watching a movie together, because then I was like, there was this one moment when one of the actors' cameras wasn't off yet, and everyone started doing like this. We're just laughing about it, and I for the first time ever was not stressed to watching something that I had made, nor did I get. I don't know if this is common to everyone, but I will talk about me. My friend calls this the post-show blues. It tends to happen that whenever a show is done, I don't want people to talk to me, but that's completely rude because that's exactly what I'm there for. And people should be talking. Like, everyone comes up to you and they're like, hey, oh my God, that was so good. And you're like, my face is melting, and I'm like, yeah, of course, thank you. But it's like an intimate, private moment, and this time around, I got to enjoy it. I was like, yes, this movie was great. So that, honestly, I don't know how to replicate that in live theater, but it definitely felt like the best viewing of my own work. I didn't feel as nervous, and it was just so much more relaxed. So that was good.
Yay! All right. All right. I also had another question from Rebecca Ojeda. What do you value the most from your growth as a writer? Switching gears over to the writing process.
Risk, right? Writing a story that might alienate people who have been with me for my career. I was scared of some of the content in my show, and I want to thank my dramaturge Adrienne Aaliyah for pushing me to look at sexual trauma in my life when I just wanted to write a cute kid comedy.
Yeah, the process of decoupling your own, not decoupling because that's not what it is, but like your own trauma, putting it into a piece and that allows you to look at it. I mean, I don't think you ever get this passionate, right? But you able to look at it, you're able to examine it. And then once the actors kind of take the skins, you give it to them, and then it becomes another entity, which I think is pretty wonderful when you're dealing with some of the things that all of us deal with in our work, I think. there's a lot of trauma that we're processing, but how do you, how do you give it to the audience without like re-traumatizing yourself, basically?
Yeah.
And just to jump off of that, yes, trauma. I mean, obviously, if you saw any of the plays, but I think that something for me that I consider a growth as a writer is that, and I think machine learning is a great example of it. There were versions of it that are not 7.4, which is the one that everyone saw, in which Gabriel was much more of a villain and a distant character. There wasn't a lot of insight to it, and I think part of the healing from trauma, if it is trauma that has been inflicted, for me involves a certain, I can see the other side, which is a strange thing to say, but I do think that the play has become more complex the more Gabriel is a person. Because I guess I'm also in a point in my life where I'm starting to wonder like the ways that I've hurt other people, and I think that that's something that as a writer gives me much more insight into the characters that are, the villains, the bad guys, which is harder to do. And I do think it's an uncoupling of the trauma. I sometimes think like, oh my God, I go into these Q&As and I just like say my whole life, like as if it hadn't happened to me. I was watching Makasha's Q&A and you said something like that, right? We just like, hey, I had this horrible thing happen to me. Go. And then it feels like the play can sometimes be a more, I don't know, a distance, right? There's the uncoupling, but then it can also be more real than just saying it. Hey, when I was 12, it's like more like it's there. And it feels like I don't feel re-traumatized in that process, which I appreciate. Yeah.
I think there's something incredibly gratifying about being able to, just accept things that have happened and then funnel them through yourself and be able to put out creativity and imagination, so that the work that comes out, isn't necessarily exactly what has happened in the past, but it's everything that makes up what the artist is, that is funneled into like a productive, creative end result. There's something extremely gratifying about being able to take something that is real and make something that is imaginary but still real. So that's something that I value a lot.
In a similar vein to a lot of what has been said, I think for me, growth feels like Extreme Home was my first play, and writing stuff since has felt really, I'm excited at the ability to write farther from myself. I think Extreme Home is very close to home, literally, and I've really enjoyed working on other processes, writing farther from myself, and kind of protecting, or just no. I think we're really encouraged to, and this is kind of what Extreme Home is about, but being really encouraged to give every private part of your life to the audience. And I think something that has been a really exciting growth for me is being like, no, you don't get to see this, or like, I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to make you feel bad about it. So I feel like thinking about what's mine and what's everyone else's has been really helpful.
Along those same lines, because of this experience, what are you taking away from maybe this moment and also this particular reading of it as you look to develop the draft and your plays into the next drafts?
Well, I was given a gift with Lisa Portes and Ben Renan, who was my autism consultant. So I had somebody who walked that walk and could, was brilliant and so generous about sharing things with us and with the actors. And I think that really that made me really happy, because I feel like sometimes you get a play. There's something about asking people to play autism that it becomes a little bit of a performative thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to what the truth of people with autism can actually be. And so I thought the gift of having Ben will carry through that play, because now it feels really grounded.
And that was new, that expert added to the process was new for this particular festival?
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just want to I've been thinking this so much, how amazing the actors were, and that they were just going, right through the lens to us. The casting was great. There's several actors that I'm just completely in love with. And I definitely had FOMO not having somebody perform my piece. Besides me, I did it. But so I look forward to that, in the future. And I guess what I'm going to take into the future is, writing for people besides myself.
Cool.
I honestly, it's gonna sound weird perhaps, but I think what I learned in this one is that at some point you need to stop writing your play. I definitely, for a few days, I was like, Gabe, what is blah, 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 and Gabe was like, see. And then I was like, Gabe, sorry, no, I just think a typo and one line. Because sometimes you just need to stop. Obviously, I'm speaking as someone who brought a play into the festival that has been developed a lot. It's not my first draft is perfect. But I do think that you can often not know when to stop, and sometimes you just gotta stop. But honestly, it's an important lesson. I've never been at this point where I'm like, enough, it goes to the drawer.
Good.
It's a little hard for me to think about the future right now, because my lizard brain is still pretty active from the terror of having to take over halfway through the play. So it's a little hard to think about the future, but I'm just so grateful of how much I learn every time I see a reading of any of my plays. How much I learn every time I see a reading of someone else's play. Even going into it thinking oh, it's a Zoom reading, it's different from what I like, and then being able to learn things from it anyway. With my plays, I've been working on this for over 3 years. It's just another reading, but then still things click. There are new things that come up, and it's just every reading is just so different. And I think particularly in line with what a few people have said, the intimacy of the performances in this medium just sparked my brain in different ways that haven't happened seeing other readings that have happened on a stage somewhere. And that's something that I'm really trying to think about going forward is what about that really interesting intimacy and closeness of the performance can carry forward and find a way into the writing itself. It's something I'm excited about.
That's beautiful.
All
right. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about for Extreme Home Makeover. I feel like I've gotten the question or note a lot of why not do this as a movie? Why not do this as a film? Work. And I've always been it's a stage play. It's a stage play. And so it was really cool to see it as not a stage play. I still think it's a stage play, but I thought it was really helpful to see what people were kind of giving that note about.
I am about to hand us over to Patrice to just close the festival off with a round of happiness. But before I do, I wanted to give a platform for all of you to give a shout out to one or two other emerging people of color playwrights, so that other folks here can discover them as you have.
Yeah, Laura Sheamus is an amazing Indigenous writer. Her work is terrific. Benjamin Bene, I'm obsessed with At the Very Bottom of a Body of Water, and I want somebody to do it like right now. And Mercedes Flores Isla, who writes work in 3 languages and just knocks me out every time.
Awesome. Anybody else want to give a shout out?
I don't know their last name, but I love this solo performer, Rotimi. I think their last name is Agaba, and I don't know their pronouns, but they're actually like a fantastic actor, and they've worked with the Mime Troupe and various plays from the Bay Area African Theater Company that's run by Idris Cooper. But anyway, that's a solo performer to definitely watch if you ever get a chance. And Javier Hortado is the fantastic playwright who's so prolific, and looking forward to seeing his work get more readings and stagings.
Awesome.
Felicia Odu, who actually read stage directions, is a fantastic emerging playwright. And then Preston Choi is also an emerging playwright who I am always rooting for.
Yes, Preston. Yes.
So many.
Mine is a bit. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Francisco. So many. Nick Kadu, Renee Jarrett, Josiah Turner, Lily Gonzalez, Masi Montoletto. So many.
Mine is a bit of a cheat because she's been in this festival, but Eliana Pipes, whatever she writes, I will read. I really love her. And also a bit of a cheat because now she's blowing up, but Nisi Aya is just an amazing playwright and a great person to have in your life.
Awesome. If you haven't already, make sure you jot those down in the chat for folks. And I want to thank you again so much for all your creativity and your time and efforts over the past week getting everything going. We hope that you had an amazing time. And I'm going to bring on Patrice for our closing moment. Countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Thank you so much for joining us at the festival. We are so grateful for your support and your presence here with us online in this virtual space for our 2020 San Diego Rep Latinx New Play Festival. We are grateful for you coming in and being with us today. We encourage you to come back to San Diego Rep and check us out on our website. We have lots of online programming that will be happening throughout the year. And we cannot wait until we get to be with you in person again at our theater downtown. Please remember, all of the recordings from the readings across this weekend, excluding Spanking Machine, will be available on the San Diego Reps YouTube page. Additionally, please fill out the post-show surveys and the request for scripts in case you'd like to receive more information about the shows and more information about the playwrights. Thank you again for joining us. A huge, major, giant thank you to all of the festival interns. We have a team of 8 incredible young women who are helping us produce this festival. They are awesome and amazing and brought so much organization clarity and sanity, not only to the festival, but to my life. And I am so grateful for all of their work. Thank you to the San Diego Rep. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to you, our audience. We hope to see you again next year. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye.
Oh, wait, I'm on. Oh. what are they gonna do? Makasha? All right, I'm gonna go. I can't, it's very hard for me. It's the camera. I love the camera so much. Okay, everybody, but it's Rotimi Agbabiaka. And so that's, and the last play that I saw him do was Manifesto. And Javi, you know, oh, look, and there's Javier. So anyway, you know Rotimi, so, and Idris. And okay, that's it. Bye.